Okay, y'all, let me tell you about the Pokemon Go. I read some articles on Facebook. Facebook feed was full of this Pokemon Go. So I read some articles on Facebook, and it said that people were getting robbed over Pokemon Go. And I don't know how they're getting robbed over Pokemon Go. I don't know if their Pokemon Go's are getting robbed from them, if they're getting robbed when they go to find a Pokemon, if they get robbed when they put a Pokemon down. But then I see some video of a girl talking about how these Pokemon are in her store and how she's going to catch all the Pokemon. So I go, you know what? There may be Pokemon in my house. Where are these Pokemon at? Where are these Pokemon at? Are there Pokemon everywhere? Are there Pokemon in the stores? Are there Pokemons in your houses? I didn't want Pokemons in my houses. I want Pokemon out of my house because I don't want some tweaker showing up out in the street, out in my driveway, trying to catch a Pokemon in my house. So I downloaded the Pokemon app. I downloaded the Pokemon app because I'm going to catch all the Pokemon in my house so that nobody else can come by my house and catch the Pokemon. So I turn on the app and boom, it's got a Pokemon in my living room. There's a Pokemon in my living room. Who knows who could have showed up in my front yard trying to catch this Pokemon? It's a Charmander. Charmander. That's what it's. Charmander, whatever it is. So I tell my kid, I go, hey, you need to watch out. He's 2 years old. I go, you need to watch out for these Pokemon. These Pokemon will get you robbed. You could be kidnapped over Pokemon. Come here. So I'm showing him the Pokemon in our living room, which kind of freaked him out because he couldn't see the Pokemon, but he could see it on the phone. But he was not really in the living room, but he thought he was in the living room. So we caught the Pokemon. And I said, look, we caught the Pokemon. You don't have to be scared anymore. But he said he was lost. The Pokemon was lost. We need to find it. We need to find more Pokemon. So now I play Pokemon. I play Pokemon Go with my kid, which means I go to work. And if there's a Pokemon there, I cannot not catch the Pokemon. So now I'm playing Pokemon by myself. I got to go to work. I got to stop on the way to work. I got a long commute. I commute like an hour each way. I got to stop everywhere that I know there's a Pokestop and spin the little thing and get all these little balls. So I got to swing by all these Pokestops and get all these little balls so that we can play Pokemon. But you know what happens? Every time I hit this Pokestop, there's a Pokemon just chilling out there, and I got to sit there and try to catch I got to sit there and flick the ball and try to catch the Pokemon. So I'm sitting there trying to catch the Pokemon, and you know what happens? I use more balls than I got at the Pokestop. So now I'm stopping on the way to work just to spend more Pokeballs and catch another Pokemon. I go, this isn't going to work. I'm not catching enough. I'm not getting enough balls to play all day with him when I get home after I've already spent them at all the Pokestops catching new Pokemon. Yesterday we go to Walmart. We're cruising around Walmart. He's got my phone. He's running into everything, and he's looking for the Pokemon. We caught a crap load of Pokemon at the Walmart. You know what was most prevalent at the Walmart? It was that Rat-a-tat. There was tons of rats at the Walmart. I don't know if they did that on purpose or not, but that's hilarious. There's tons of rats at the Pokemart. Not just hood rats, actual rats. There's actual little purple rats at the Walmart. We caught like 15. We caught like 15 of them Rat-a-tat things. We're leaving, and I see a ton of Pokestops. We see a ton of Pokestops. So I'm cruising over towards that ton of Pokestops, see what it is. Right? There's a Pokestop right on the side of the road. And, okay, listen to me. Don't drive and Pokemon. I stop to get the Pokestop and to catch the Pokemon. Now, everybody behind me is really mad, and they're honking because they want to go, but I'm stopped. But don't drive in Pokemon. You need to stop. Otherwise, you're going to get in an accident. So you stop your car, and you start trying to do the Pokestop. And if people behind you are mad, you know what? They should just turn on their phone and catch the Pokestop, too, while you're waiting. Anyway, we get over to this other Pokestop, but I'm going to call it a plethora of Pokestops. A plethora of Pokestops. We get there, you know what it is? It's a cemetery. It's a cemetery. There's grave markers. You know, Gustavo Valdez Jr., he's got himself a bench. You know, there's a flag with a memorial there. Over here, there's a lady. There's a fountain lady. Over by there, there's a crying lady. I know all this because I drove in the cemetery. I drove around the cemetery, and it was a little embarrassing. Mostly because everybody knew I was there because I'm stopping and I'm getting my little Pokeballs. So I'm driving in the cemetery, cruising through the mortuary, hitting all the Pokestops. I got, in like 5 minutes, I got 60 Pokeballs, like an incense, 3 of these revive potions. We caught, I don't even know how many Pokemon. Oh man, it was like a Pokemon party. The cemetery was like a Pokemon party. And here's the deal. If I was just there by myself, maybe nobody would know what I was doing. Maybe it wouldn't be so embarrassing, you know? Except there was like 15 other cars. There was groups of kids walking around the cemetery with their phones out playing the Pokemon. I kid you not. Those dead people have never had so much company as they do now with the Pokemon Go. Everybody is cruising through the cemetery, catching the Pokemons in the Pokeball. There's Pokestops everywhere. It's like it's a glob of Pokestops, and we're all running through it. And I'm like nodding to other people. You could tell they're embarrassed. I'm like, hey, what's up? You know, they're embarrassed because you know they're playing the Pokemon and they're in the cemetery. We are in the cemetery playing the Pokemon. It's a nice cemetery. It's a nice day. People are out walking. They all got their phones out. Catching the Pokemon and getting the Pokeballs. Now, I just stayed in the car because I didn't want to get the kid out of the car seat and everything. It's the lazy way of playing Pokemon. Because I'll tell you one good thing about the Pokemon. It's not just sitting in your living room playing Angry Bird, pulling the bird back and letting him go. You have to get out and walk around to hatch your Pokemon. You got to get out and walk around to catch the Pokemon. Me and my kid, we get up early in the morning. We live out in the dirt, on a dirt road. We walk across the field and we catch a Pokemon right in the dirt field. There's Pokemon everywhere. Now, what I did learn is that I didn't do myself any good by catching all the Pokemon in my house because they keep coming back. And now my kid, every time we get an incense, he's burning the incense trying to attract the Pokemon. Now there's even more Pokemon coming to our house. So we're probably going to, I hope we don't get robbed. I hope we don't get robbed over this Pokemon. But with all these Pokemon hanging around the house, who knows who's going to show up? I mean, look at all these crazy people in the cemetery. There's just crazy people in the cemetery cruising. There were carfuls of adults. All adults, no kids. You don't even have an excuse. You know, I got my kid. He's an excuse. I can see how this Pokemon could be addictive, but at least I got my kid for an excuse. These full-grown adults driving around the cemetery looking for Pokeballs, Pokestops. Yeah, I'm driving behind them. We're all stopping, boop, 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 getting all these Pokeballs in the cemetery. Find yourself a cemetery. Find yourself a cemetery and go get the Pokeballs. You'll thank me later.